Welcome back to Carcry, the only place where foreign cars get unwrapped more thoroughly than a 3-year expired cup of instant noodles. Today's contestant for Most Confusing SUV of the Year is none other than the Lada Azimut, brought to you by Mother Russia, where people are more familiar with tanks than city cars. And frankly, at first glance, Azimut does look like a vacuum-sealed Dacia Duster with LED lights and a Soviet monument for a grille. Don't let the Cold War-era satellite name fool you. The Lada Azimut is a brand new B-plus segment SUV just revealed and expected to launch in Russia by late 2025. And knowing Lada's legendary export strategy, if there are potholes, there is potential, it might just end up in developing markets by 2026. Why should we care? Because this time, Lada isn't messing around. A fresh design, modern tech, and the boldness to step onto the same turf as the Creta, X-Force, and Seltos. Forget the barn-built vibes of the Creta and Vesta, Azimut actually looks like a real global contender. It's got LEDs, sharp lines, and specs that say, yeah, I showed up for this. First impression, like spotting a Russian construction worker in a Hugo Boss suit still carrying wire cutters in his back pocket. It's urban SUV meets Cold War special ops. But what really makes the Azimut special isn't just how it looks, it's the whisper. I'm coming for the global market. And if my price is right, I'm about to shake the B-plus segment like a vodka martini. Bottom line, this isn't just a Russian SUV. This is Lada's most serious comeback since the Niva. So let's peel this onion, layer by Soviet-flavored layer, and see if the Azimut is weird good or just plain weird. At first glance, you might think this is just a roided-out Dacia Duster that's been fed Russian borscht for 2 straight winters. But hold your judgments. The Azimut isn't just big. It radiates that frosty Russian energy that could make nearby city cars involuntarily flash their hazard lights. Up front, Lada flexes a bold X-shaped grille, the new face of Lada's design DNA. Flanking it are upside-down L-shaped LED headlights stretching all the way to the hood, like Lexus got lost on the Trans-Siberian Railway and picked up some KGB attitude. The sculpted hood and bulging fender lines resembled the biceps of a Russian Olympic weightlifter. Add tall, chiseled body clouding, and this SUV looks ready to climb a hill, dive through a swamp, and still have enough attitude to shame a soft-looking crossover parked outside a Starbucks. The rear features a full-width LED light bar, adding visual width and fake it till you make it swagger. Even the fake aluminum bumper garnish says, yeah, I'm premium-ish. And with a 208mm ground clearance, that's borderline pickup territory. This thing's clearly not afraid of snowbanks, potholes, or fishing on frozen lakes. Two-tone 18-inch wheels drive home the point. I'm not a hatchback in disguise. Though, from a distance, the Azimut kinda looks like a European crossover cosplaying Fast and Furious Siberian Drift. To sum it up, the Azimut's design isn't groundbreaking, but it's the quirky East meets West fusion that makes it unforgettable. In a world of urban SUVs that all look like steamed dumplings, this glowing river rock definitely stands out. All right, we've seen the rugged outside. Now let's crack the door open and, oh, would you look at that? Gone are the Soviet-era hard plastics of the old Lada Kalina. Instead, we're greeted by a thoughtfully crafted cabin, like the Vesta Cross, but sent to tech college. Right in front, a digital instrument cluster paired with a 10-inch touchscreen angled slightly toward the driver. Modern, functional, and just a little reminiscent of an ATM. But here's the kicker. It runs a custom OS developed by Navitel and Spur with a built-in AI assistant called Salute that might just make Alexa and Siri cry if they understood Russian. Material quality? Still not German-level plush, but way beyond plastic Tupperware from the Cold War. The seats are wide, available in faux leather or fabric with power adjustment in upper trims. The leather-wrapped steering wheel packs multi-function buttons, and even the gear shifter got a glow-up. No more washing machine levers. It's clean, compact, and vaguely Hyundai-ish. Comfort-wise, pretty solid. Dual-zone climate control, heated front seats, heated steering wheel, heated windshield, and, of course, heated rear glass. Basically, if you live anywhere above Canada's snowline, the Azimut doubles as a portable cabin. Top trims get all the fun stuff. Panoramic sunroof, wireless charging, powered tailgate, and 360-degree cameras. Features that make you stop and go, wait, Lada did this? Not perfect, though. The rear seats are roomy, but have short cushions. Not great for folks over 6 feet. And no ventilated seats yet, so if you're sweating in Arizona or Spain, you'll be sweating in style. Final verdict? The Azimut's interior is a giant leap for Lada kind. Not as premium as a Peugeot 2008, not as polished as a Kia Seltos, but miles ahead of their old-school image. It's modern enough to make you forget Lada used to build off-roaders that sounded like they were powered by potatoes. So we've got the looks, we've got the comfy cabin, now onto what every car guy wants to know. What's under the hood? Can it pull? Well, yes, but don't expect it to pull like a Mustang GT on a Red Bull diet. The Lada Azimut currently offers 2 good old-school engine options: sturdy, honest, and about as flashy as a Soviet winter coat. A 2.6-liter naturally aspirated engine, making around 120 HP, a 2.8-liter naturally aspirated engine pushing 132 HP. No turbos, no hybrids, no AI-managed drive modes, just raw, analog durability. This is the kind of engine you can beat with a wrench, and it'll still fire up in the morning. It's the mechanical version of that uncle who smokes unfiltered cigarettes and chops firewood with his bare hands. Transmission? Lada keeps it simple. 6-speed manual for the purists and Uber drivers who double as drift kings, or CVT for folks who want a smoother ride, but don't mind pressing the gas and waiting 5 business days for a gear change. Rumor has it a 1.8-liter turbo is in the works with 150 HP and a proper automatic. But for now, Lada is sticking with the hammer and sickle transmission philosophy. Built to last, easy to fix, and perfect for negative 40 degrees Celsius winters or questionable back alley mechanics. Strengths: reliability, simplicity, and the ability to survive a zombie apocalypse. Weaknesses: not built for passing school buses uphill. It'll get you where you're going, but maybe pack some caffeine in a heavy metal playlist if you're hauling 4 people and luggage over the Rockies. Fuel economy? Not official yet, but expect around 7 to 8 L 100 kilometers combined. It's not Prius frugal, but for a non-hybrid midsize SUV, not bad. And hey, you don't have to plug it in every night like your phone. Bottom line, the Azimut isn't fast, it's not flashy, but it's dependable, rugged, and works in places where GPS says, good luck. It's the SUV equivalent of a boyfriend who can fix your plumbing. Not sexy, but worth keeping. Now for the all-important question, can this thing handle rough roads? After all, in Russia, roads crack like tortilla chips after a minus 40 degrees Celsius freeze, so it should laugh in the face of suburban potholes and countryside bumps, right? Azimut rides on a beefed-up version of the Vesta SW Cross platform, known for handling Russia's moon crater infrastructure. And yes, this thing has 208 millimeters of ground clearance, practically pickup truck territory. Throw in big tires, wide arches, McPherson struts up front, and a torsion beam in the rear, and it's ready to hop curbs, scale fire lanes, and crawl your cousin's dirt driveway in Utah. It even offers a terrain mode, a drive setting for snow, mud, or gravel. Sounds cool, right? Plot twist, it's front-wheel drive only. That's right, it's got off-road mode, but no AWD. Kind of like showing up to a sword fight with a butter knife and a 6-pack of confidence.
Still, with decent approach and departure angles, exact specs TBA, the Azimut should breeze through back roads, light trails, or the kind of unpaved nonsense you find outside most European capitals or Midwest suburbs. And if you're wondering how tough it really is, just remember, this SUV was designed for Siberia. That means mud, frostbite, and Cold War-level road neglect. So a rainy day in Yorkshire or a mountain pass in Colorado, child's play. To wrap up, the Azimut has an off-road soul, but a city boy drivetrain. It won't climb Everest, but it'll outlast most crossovers when the pavement ends. And when you back it down a gravel hill, it won't cry. You might, but it won't.
By now you might be asking, okay, the car looks cool and works, but does it have tech, or is it just a glorified tractor? And this, my friends, is where Lada throws in a wild plot twist. Standard features, yes, standard, not part of some elite premium bundle extreme package, include 10-inch infotainment touchscreen, wireless phone charging, dual-zone climate control, heated front seats, heated steering wheel, heated windshield, and heated rear window, reverse camera, standard, 360-degree camera, upper trims, power liftgate, remote engine start, because if you don't preheat your cabin in Russia, you die. Yes, you heard that right. Remote start, something many Korean cars still charge extra for in Europe or the US, comes built in. Because over there, freezing to the seat is not a metaphor, it's a public health hazard. Bonus, the built-in voice assistant Salute, with a voice like a Russian villain in a Bond movie, can play music, adjust climate, navigate, or read news in Russian. Outside Russia, you might need a firmware update or risk being rerouted to the Red Square when you just wanted IKEA. Entertainment? No WeChat-level app stores like Chinese EVs, but it's smooth, quick, and has 6 decent speakers, enough for jazz, death metal, or awkward family road trip sing-alongs. Does it have a panoramic sunroof? Yes, on the higher trims. Whether it opens or not depends on the weather and your optimism. Snarky side note, it's still missing a few modern flexes, no cooled seats, no HUD, no adaptive cruise, but hey, it's not trying to leap from tractor to Tesla in one generation. Let the man evolve. Final word, in the $30,000 to $40,000 price range, converted, the Azimut packs just enough toys to feel premium, but not so many that you're constantly fixing them. And that practicality might just be the smartest thing Lada's ever done.
Let's talk price, the part where wallets twitch or run for the hills. In Russia, the Azimut will sit between the Vesta Cross and the all-new Niva, with an estimated starting price of 2.5 to 3 million rubles, roughly 26,000 to 31,000 USD, depending on geopolitical chaos and currency mood swings. Sounds doable, right? Not so fast. If this car ever hits Western markets, add taxes, import duties, dealer markup, logistic fees, and the fear of buying a Russian car tax, and you're staring down the barrel of $40,000 or more. That puts the fully loaded Azimut in competition with Kia Seltos SX, Hyundai Creta 1.6 turbo in hypothetical markets, Honda HR-V Sport, and brushing shoulders with the Peugeot 2008 GT. So, does it hold its own? Design? Absolutely. It eats Seltos and Creta for breakfast. Interior? Clean and capable. Not as posh as Peugeot, but better than expected. Ground clearance? Best in class. Engine? Average. It'll move, not race. Features? The winter package alone is unique. Brand trust? Curious now, loyal later? Maybe? If Lada keeps the price smart, say $33,000 for base, under $40K for full spec, and actually supports it with parts, service, and maybe some customer confidence training, this could be a real dark horse. But if they go full rare is expensive mode, then the Azimut becomes just another cool review car. Like a G-Wagon for the mildly nostalgic, except this one is the people's off-roader for those who used to own a UAZ and now want airbags. Final verdict. The Lada Azimut is a bold move from Russia. Rugged, quirky, well-equipped, and if priced right, maybe the most interesting SUV under $40,000. And if not, well, hey, at least you got to laugh and can say, wait, Russian cars do this now? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to drop a comment. Would you buy an Azimut if it came to your country? Hit that like button, subscribe, and share Carcry, the only channel where weird cars get roasted like a forgotten Thanksgiving turkey in the back of the freezer.